I want to welcome everybody to the Thursday, October 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Somerville Fair Housing Commission. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, this meeting of the Somerville Fair Housing Commission will be conducted via remote participation, and we will have an audio recording available upon request as soon as possible after the meeting. So I'm going to ask the other commissions for consent to formally call the meeting to order.
Please do.
Yep, I'll second.
Okay.
Hi.
So the meeting is called to order. I hope you all received from our able staff person, Shannon Lawler, a copy of the draft minutes from our September meeting. And when you're ready, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
May I please have a moment to review?
Of course. Well, Patrice is reviewing the minutes. I'll just mention that I was at a pro-immigrant demonstration in Somerville on Tuesday and ran into Scott Morris, a reporter for the Somerville Times, who had previously covered at least one of our meetings. So that was a nice intersection. And, you know, it's the kind of thing that can happen in a community like Somerville, which is a lot of people, but still feels like a small town sometimes.
I should get rid of my self view on the camera. I'm like, is that hair sticking out?
It's not.
Yeah, I know, but I hate looking at myself.
So some of us who have been on the commission for a while remember when we had all our meetings in person.
Oh, I know. That must have been nice.
It was nice, but
although-
it also made it hard for people who have day jobs to and not with the city to attend.
Yeah, I think I remember driving Patrice home because she had like dashed in, you know, at the end of the day, at the end of her day, and skipped lunch in order to make it happen.
Oh.
And she was like ready to chew my arm off, so I drove her home so she could eat.
That we
So
were meeting.
it is a problem.
Yeah,
we were meeting at the
hadn't thought about
Central
that.
Library.
Right.
I'm sorry, you were saying.
No, I was just saying I hadn't thought about that because obviously I work the same hours as the city works. So for me, it's, but yeah, that would be.
Right, and you're on the clock when you're here.
I
so,
am.
Yeah, and people who work outside the city don't have that.
Right.
Yeah. No, there's logistical problems around these commissions a lot, but it is what it is. You know, there was one point where I got called in because it was something that had to get done in a hurry, and they had to cancel the meeting because without me, we weren't quorum. So, you know, it's a problem when you have a job that doesn't include this.
That's true.
So, yeah,
You'll feel kind of blessed in that respect, I guess.
Yeah.
I took a skim and I don't know if I'm back on camera.
You're
Not
not
yet.
on camera, but we hear you.
Okay. It must have got flipped around and confused when I was using my phone to read.
Okay. Well, while you're working on displaying your beautiful face again, can I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll
Sure,
make
I'll
a
move to
motion to
approve. It's
approve.
written.
Oh, there we go.
Right, I'm two.
There we go.
Janine moves to approve. Rona seconds the motion. I join them. Patrice, when you can, unmute yourself and let us know your opinion. Ah, great.
I'm
So,
back.
You're back.
so is it unanimous? Are the minutes unanimously approved?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, moving right along. We have a couple of standing agenda items. One is the Facebook page update. And for anybody who's watching this from the public, either now or viewing the video later, our Facebook page is Somerville Fair Housing Commission, all one word, on Facebook. And we generally post a question of the week on Fridays and a newsy article related to fair housing on Mondays, and occasionally something in between. Since our last meeting, the post that got the most attention was a question of the week, where somebody asked, my realtor won't answer questions like, are there any other families with children who live in this neighborhood? And, and we responded and said, your realtor is doing the right thing, because family configuration is one of the protected classes. And you as a buyer can go around and look and see who's on the street, after school lets out or whatever. But your realtor should not be steering you in one direction or another on that. 92 people viewed that post, and 14 interacted with it in some way, liked or commented or so forth, shared. There wasn't a link attached, so they didn't click through to anything. I'll just check with retired realtor Commissioner Rona to see if she wants to add anything to that.
Not really. This is a topic that comes up a lot because when people think of protected classes, they think of races and ethnicity, and they don't think of what familial status means. It's sort of a technical term. So saying there's a lot of kids in the neighborhood could be confirming to somebody who has the preferred configuration of 2.2 kids, but it could be off-putting to somebody who doesn't have kids or doesn't want to have kids, or is in a family configuration that specifically will never have kids. And even asking the question could create discrimination against somebody else. So if the family that owns the house has 2 kids and there's a swing set in the backyard, they'd rather sell it to somebody who's going to use the swing set, then the seller is discriminating. So you don't want to give people information that can help discrimination.
Mhm.
And
Any,
people are not going to ask a seller, a seller's not going to ask their realtor, is the person who wrote this offer Black? But they might ask if they have kids because they don't know.
we hope what you said is true. It would be
Yeah.
more blatant if they did anyway.
Yeah, but people don't know, and that's part of why we're here.
Right. Okay, so any other thoughts about the Facebook page update? Okay, so let's move right along. Shannon, can you tell us about the calls and complaints received since the last meeting?
Yeah, so we've received one fair housing complaint since the last meeting. This one came from the Somerville Office of Immigrant Affairs on behalf of one of their clients. Still kind of in the early stages of this, so I don't have all the information right now, and not sure where it's going to go. I believe that the tenant was not told. The tenant is not an English speaker or English isn't their first language, and they weren't told that they would need to pay for water when they moved in, and when they got their lease renewal, it came with a large water bill from the previous year saying that they had not paid it, and that they would need to pay water for the upcoming year. And I believe it's possible that their English speaking neighbors don't have this situation, because the lease was in English.
Mhm.
So working with Soya there, they've also contacted OHS and ISD to check if there is submetering for the building, because the landlord can't charge water fees if there's not submetering. So hopefully I'll have more of an update on this one next month. And
And
then, sorry, go ahead.
again, just for the public, SOIA is the Somerville Office of Immigrant Affairs, right? And ISD is Inspectional Services Division or Department, and
OHS,
OHS is
Office
Office
of
of
Housing
Housing
Stability.
Stability,
Stability.
with
And
which,
I would,
you know,
yeah,
go ahead.
and I would also add that submetering is common, like if you have a two-family house, it's condos. The first floor will have their own water bill, and the second floor will have their own water bill. And that's what submetering is part of the building is metered one way and part of it's on another bill. And if you have one bill for the whole house, you can't charge the people in the other apartment half the bill because that's not equitable.
Yeah. And then does anyone have any questions about this one? Like I said, I don't have a ton of information right now.
Yeah. I think it's going to come down to the lease because there's a part, if they're using a standard lease, there's a part where they have to check off what the tenant is responsible for. If the
Yeah.
landlord didn't check that off, even if it is submetered, it's not in the contract.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with, it's also an issue that if they couldn't read the lease
Read the
very
lease.
well and they were just, they were just told one thing and then the lease says another, and if their neighbors are in a different situation. But yeah, and then I will say that we did get other inquiries. We got, I think, one inquiry on the form and one over the phone, that were not fair housing inquiries. They're both ISD related. So I referred both of them over to ISD. And I'll note that I feel like we do get a lot of those, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's like a good entry point into the city and like who should you go to, and also then I can like tell people a little bit about like, okay, is this or is this not fair housing? What is fair housing? So yeah, I just wanted to note that as well.
Any questions or comments for Shannon about that? Shannon, are there any cases from previous months that you've want to tell us more about, or is that not relevant right now?
I don't have any updates from previous months. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm just checking in case we forgot. All right. So we have a bunch of specific activities that the Fair Housing Commission is involved in. Most of them are educational in nature. But one of them is we've been working with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, has been consulting with us on reaching out to some of the important constituent organizations and communities in the Somerville area to figure out how the Fair Housing Commission can communicate better and how we can direct our work better. And Shannon, I know that you were going to give us a brief report about that.
Yes. Okay. So this is based on the email that got sent out by Gloria this past month. So sorry, I'm just pulling things up so I can see them. Okay. So she was asking for all the commissioners to look at the engagement events and identify what opportunities that you think the commission should prioritize, and also which you're interested in helping with. So we took your answers, and like kind of tallied up which ones seemed like they had the most interest. So I'll go over those, and then we can just talk a little bit about, yeah, like what we want to prioritize doing out of those, and when we could do them. So I think, let's see, the Mama's Free Store, the Mutual Aid Medford in Somerville, they have free store. Tabling at that, had a lot of interest. There was flyering or office hours, in restaurants in East Somerville, had some interest. The movement meetings, which are part of CAS, Community Action Agency of Somerville, going to their movement meetings and presenting, that had a lot of interest. A presentation or program at the Council on Aging, possibly targeted to small landlords, that had some of the most. Attending a Somerville YIMBY meeting, attending a Union Square Neighborhood Council meeting or Davis Square Neighborhood Council meeting. Those would be lower lifts, just, like a meeting to make a connection. And I think that we will have those meetings, once Gloria is back. We'll schedule those. So maybe not thinking about that for the priorities. And then another one that had a lot of interest was, training amplifiers. So like training for city social workers with Health and Human Services, and Council on Aging. So yeah, do any of those stand out as things that people want to do soon? I will note for the movement meeting in particular at CAS, I believe they have one in November and one in January. In my opinion, November is pretty soon for us to have materials together, but we also might want to think about January is getting close to April is Fair Housing Month. It's going to be a bit busier around that time. So yeah, just some things to keep in mind.
Commissioners, your thoughts?
Well, the Mamas has some delay involved because the process is going to be that we need to make a proposal to them, and then the board has to okay it, because
Okay.
they're very clear about, they don't want to take up the time of the people that they serve unless it's
Mhm.
really going to serve them. So
Okay.
they're protected for very good reasons. So what would have to happen is one of us, and probably me, because I have the connection, would write to somebody on the board and have them bring it to the next board meeting, and then they would okay it. And then we would pick a date. So if there's enough energy there, I can sort of get that going, because it's not going to happen for a while. Just like, the move meeting and other things like that.
Mhm.
Do they ever just
So-
have like, I'm not that familiar with the free
Yeah.
store, but like, do they like have like a bulletin board with materials for folks that come to the store?
They don't have a physical space.
Oh, I got it.
So
It's
their
everything.
free store is they have stuff piled up in a storage space.
Got it.
And then
Okay.
they have
Makes more
space,
sense.
they
Okay.
take space at the East Somerville Community School or other such big open rooms. And so, yeah, they don't have a place where we can get right
Okay.
to them.
Now that makes more
And-
sense. Got it.
Yeah, and anything we do needs to be done along with Soya,
Got it.
because we're going to need translation services from them.
Do you know
Because
how
the-
often they have these free stores?
I think it's like 4 times a year, but I'll double check it.
Okay. Yeah, from what it sounds like, that feels like a priority because it had a lot of interest, and also if it's gonna be a bit of a slow process, it would be good to get
Good
started
to get
on.
started. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll get started on
Rona,
that.
if you wouldn't mind, and then if you wanna like email what you're thinking to me and Gloria, and then we can either meet
Okay.
or just send it right to them.
Well, we can do it all by email.
Yeah,
Because
that sounds
I
good.
I can put an outline of what I think I want to write. And you and Gloria can take a look at it and see if there's something I should be adding. And then I'll send that off and we'll see how it
Okay.
floats. And,
Thank
you know,
you.
and they may come back and say, you can do that, but we also want you to do this and this. And
Right.
then we as a group can figure out whether we can do that and that. All right, I got that on my to-do list. I'm good.
Other thoughts from the other commissioners?
Oh, I was looking at the list that was sent in an email and thinking about not just timing wise, but what seemed not just what seemed interesting, but who have we not reached out to before? And I'm interested in learning more about the Council on Aging and also the social work staff one seems pretty interesting, and it feels like it could be kind of aligned with me. So I'm interested in meeting with the social workers and the trainer, but I don't think it should be me by myself. I think I would need someone else with me. And then of course we need our staff person, Shannon. So we'd be a squad training. But
I'd love to
interested in
do that as well. I think that sounds really
Yes.
interesting and fun. Actually put my instructional design degree to work for once. But the other thing that, and the Council on Aging as well, I think I mentioned this before, I find that could be a very like untapped audience in a lot of different ways, because I think when we met with the Council on Aging, one thing that Ashley said is that those elders that are homeowners sometimes are very reticent to not just to rent, but even to talk about being being a landlord, and just maybe even a little suspicious of things that the city offers to landlords and homeowners. So I think just making it sort of more friendly or approachable would be great. I was thinking of that, the stuff that Ellen and her staff have been doing over at OHS to open up like the voucher program and things like that. I wonder if a lot of older landlords even know about that, or a pipe dream of mine for a long time has been like some way to connect older landlords with tenants that will do things like snow shoveling or taking out the trash and things like that. And it sounds small, but to someone who has to pay to get it done, or who just can't do it, it's a really nice swap or benefit. So I think there's a lot of potential there to make a dent in our, in the way people perceive vouchers, and also in the way that people perceive the housing crisis. So yeah, I'd be very interested in that as well.
Yeah. And I would envision that meeting with Janine there, because there's a lot of city programs that are carrots as well as city programs that are sticks. And, we functionally fit in the category of elder landlord, which sort of makes me roll my eyes, but we do. And I know that because of what I do, I knew what that pamphlet that were, the 4 pages that we're supposed to give to your tenants, I knew that was coming. And it wasn't a big deal for me to add it on the back of my lease. But I would bet that the compliance on that is fairly low, because people don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So, there's the conversation of senior landlords, how to stay out of trouble. Might be a good thing, and we can include fair housing on that. And we can also include, proper ways to do tenant screening.
Yeah.
Because it's really daunting if you are senior and frail enough that you don't want to take out your own garbage.
Right.
you also are senior and frail enough to really be taken advantage of.
Yeah, that's so true.
And
I mean,
and that's a,
I don't
you
know.
know, and
I would
that's a
just be.
serious thing, and the city's full of people like that.
I think that I would. That's what I was going to say. Is I would really be curious just to see. I mean, I am certain, not 100%, but fairly certain that there are elder landlords who may even not be renting. You know, they might own a two-family and not be renting that first or second floor because of fear of being a landlord and what they might be taking on. They may even have their children saying, "Mom, don't bother renting it. You know, just leave it, and we'll make sure that it stays, you know, up, that the upkeep is fine, but we don't want to put that on you." And I think that, you know, we might have like just an untapped resource there just as well, you know. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there.
So I
Yeah, I
want to
mean,
call on myself to make two
Mhm.
short. One is that Rona mentioned that she and I are senior landlords at the moment, but I remember when we were on the other end of the stick,
Mhm.
and you know, a lady that we rented from was in her early 70s, and we were in our mid 30s, and I did the snow shoveling, and Rona
Right. See?
counseled her about her grandchildren, and you know,
yeah,
things like
right.
that. Um, so I agree that Janine, there's probably a lot of folks out like that out there. The second point I want to mention is you folks, I was less involved in talking with people along with our consultants than some of the other commissioners were, but I'm pretty sure the results that we got back said, hey, commission, it's not just that tenants or um, you know, people who might be the subjects of discrimination in any housing way. It's not just that they need to know their rights. Know your rights events are fine, but what we really wish you would spend more time is reaching out to the people who might perpetrate the
Mhm.
discrimination.
Yeah,
And
that did come out.
this would be one example of that, but I think we need to continue to focus on that a little bit more and you know, think about some of the large landlords, some of the management agencies,
Mhm.
you know, and ways to and venues to reach out. Again, Office of Housing Stability (OHS) does have this VIP program. It's a voucher incentive program
Mhm.
for landlords who are keeping rent down and doing other good things. You know, perhaps there are ways of reaching out to people who take advantage of that program to make sure they also have the kind of information that we as the Fair Housing Commission would like them to have, and that they know they can call either Shannon or, you know, if they're not comfortable talking with somebody who works directly for the city, you know, maybe they could call a volunteer member of the commission and say,
Yeah.
hey, I want to do the right thing, and I'm not sure how to do that, and I don't want to get in, you know, tell somebody in the city what I'm doing right now. It's more stuff to think about. That's my
Mhm.
input, and I'll step back and sit in the chair again. So, do people have any other thoughts about um, these meetings or the results of the technical assistance process so far?
Well, I had in my notes for this meeting, for sort of my to-dos, was to have ideas about the seniors and like ways to find small landlord, small property owners. Um, so, that was the only thing that I had on my to-do list for this
Mm.
meeting. So, so if we're spending more time on it, we could brainstorm a little bit, but I think we've got a couple things around the edges done.
Yeah, I will
Okay.
also say, since we are planning to meet with um the Davis Square Neighborhood Council, hoping to meet with Union Square Neighborhood Council in Somerville, YIMBY, maybe they can give us some ideas that will give us maybe events that we can go to table at, or similar to Council on Aging where we can go to them and there's going to be higher concentration of landlords. I'm hoping that they'll have some ideas in that vein. meet with
Yeah,
folks.
and do you think that like it might, I don't know, it could border on invasion of privacy, but I'm sure they get other mailings. But like, would the assessor's office ever let us ever like give access to like a list of like older property owners just for like a mailing or some kind of outreach that we might be able to do, or I don't know. I'm thinking out loud, obviously, but I'm just trying to think of like how we could get like a like have a sense of like wait, how many are we looking at first of all, and like what's the best way that we can reach them? Because I mean, Ashley was very knowledgeable in terms of the people she serves. And if we went even to her and said, hey, like this list says that there's like, hundreds, what do you think is the best way to reach, all these people? And she might even know, just might be able to look at the list and go, oh, I know, just looking at this list very quickly, I see that I know, 10 who come to our center or something like that, and just start with a small base and then let it expand somehow. I don't know if we can even do that, but it's something that, could be a nice way to start gathering information if we can do it. I don't know if we can.
I think it doesn't hurt to
I might be
ask.
able to do it.
Oh, that would be
There's a
even better.
program, there's a program within the National Association of Realtors that has a property database that might be able to sort that way.
Oh, that would be cool.
I'm not a realtor anymore, but I know lots of them. So I can
That would
ask.
be neat. I just think it would be a great way to like start and figure out like how many are we looking at, and then
Yeah.
we could take that to Ashley and say, hey, like, we know there are this many. Is there a way that you think we could target and do like a nice presentation about all the things that, we're thinking would help older landlords,
Well, I think the total demographic of seniors in town is about 10%.
Yeah, it's big.
But yeah, so that's a good number, and possibly more of those are owners than renters, because they're more younger renters.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so, even if it's like 6% of the population, we've got 80,000 people here.
That's a big chunk. Exactly. I mean, I think it would be a neat thing if we
All
could
right,
do that.
it's on my to-do list.
That's cool.
I will see and I can email Shannon when I find out if I can do it.
Awesome.
If I can get someone to access it for me.
Can I ask one more thing? So it sounds like there's interest in the Mama's Free Store, in presenting at the Council on Aging and doing a training for social workers. And then I did want to ask about the movement meetings. It sounds like there's not a lot of interest for November. Would there be any interest for January presenting, I guess?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, so as I mentioned at the beginning, a lot of our activity as a commission is outreach and education. One of the things that we have done the last 3 municipal election cycles is the Fair Housing Questionnaire. And as reported at a previous meeting, the posting the questionnaire got our biggest response on the Facebook page that we've ever had on anything. And that's not counting the people who went to it directly on the website or saw it on the Somerville Times, either print or online version. And I'm thinking I know there's somebody who has kind of compiled the various questionnaires that various groups have done this year. There were a lot of them. And there's one place where people can find the links to all of those. So I'm thinking of posting that on the Facebook page one more time before the first Tuesday in November election, just so that people. But I think we've already accomplished our dual goal of making the candidates think more about it and providing it information to voters as they make their decision. Again, we're nonpartisan and we don't support any particular candidate. We just, are promoting fair housing. And I want to thank Commissioner Patrice for taking a lead on that. So I think that's it for the Fair Housing Questionnaire. We probably won't talk about that again. So Shannon, I think that can come off the agenda for next month.
Yes, but I think, Dennis, we still, if you don't mind if I interrupt, I think we still have one
Please.
more matter in regard to the questionnaire, because the primary, I feel like we had the QR code and whatnot that was for the primary, but the election is happening in like a week and a half, and early voting is starting on Monday.
Right.
Commissioner Rona, thank you so much for like putting together the QR code. Is it possible for us to have like the QR code, but with like that says vote November 4th?
Yes, I can do that.
So awesome, because the other ones say September, and it's all like, wait,
Yeah.
we want you again,
Okay.
please. And I know we had another person another candidate add in their information.
Yeah.
So I wonder with this new, with the new date for the QR code and this additional information, it all goes together. And then we could just put them throughout the neighborhood. I can commit to at least putting 20 in my neighborhood. If it's ready by this weekend, I can print it out
Okay.
at home and just put it in the local shops and whatnot.
Yeah, we did a bunch in September, and some of them stayed for like two weeks or so because we sort of rewalked the route. And we're like, oh, there's one still there, there's one still there. It sort of depends on where you put them in terms of the poles, whether they get ripped off or not. But but do you like them 4 to a page, or do you want a bigger one?
Oh, 4 to page works because I can always cut with scissors. Like I have some scissors at home. And Shannon, I need your advice. What are we permitted to put the QR codes on? Can we put them on, like, we can ask, of course, local businesses to put them in their windows and also the public bulletin boards. But I feel like stoplights get a lot of like stop signs where you like press the button to be able to cross the street. That gets a lot of traction. I mean, is it possible to like just stick them on there? Because you know what else are you doing when you're waiting across the street? I mean, legal or not legal? Or would you want to answer me over the phone and talk to me later?
I've definitely seen things about not being allowed to post them on like telephone poles.
Right.
So that's what I'll say I know. And I don't know anything else. I would err on the side of caution. But yeah.
That is a fair answer. Err on the side of caution. All right, like I have the answers I need.
Like the flip side of that, I think, is that I have seen things like stickers and different things posted, mostly because it's probably hard to remove stickers as opposed to like having to like, I know, because I know you would have to like tape it and everything. But like, I also wonder how enforceable it is. Like, I found this sticker and I'm going to remove it, and then I'm going to follow up and find this person. So I don't know. The flip side of that is like, it might not be like 100. I'm saying this, I know it's on public. I should be careful, but
oh yeah, we just became
We're being
but like,
recorded.
I don't know. I'm just wondering
implicated.
how they would. I don't
Better,
know. I just
better to apologize. Than
yeah,
not to
exactly. It's
apologize.
just the flip side of the story. Is kind of like what would happen, in the big picture. But it's a great idea. I think it's really a good idea.
Okay, how
So-
about this? I will look into it and I'll send an email
out.
afterwards with
That
what
sounds
I find out.
That sounds
Thank you.
The
Very
city
much
solicitor's gonna roll his
appreciated.
eyes at you, Shannon.
But and we don't, without spending a lot more time on this, I want to thank Commissioner Rona for having produced those flyers with the QR codes that we could distribute before the primary election. That was already a big contribution, and thanks to everybody who put them up.
You're all welcome. That's sort of fun for me. I sort of like doing that kind of stuff. But so I should have early voting starts whatever that is, whatever that Monday is, the 27th. Do you want to have all the voting dates on there? Early voting dates, blah, 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 and
think
live
so.
voting? Okay. And
As
nothing,
long
and
as-
Fair Housing Commission under it, or just the QR?
It depends on where we're gonna put them.
Let me
Let's we paste
suggest,
them to Willie and Jake's car, okay?
let me suggest
I do
that
not condone this.
excuse me, we have a bunch of other things on the agenda. I think we've talked this one through. With the
Okay.
commissioner's permission, I would like to move on. It's all right?
Mhm.
All right. Okay. So we also wanted to talk about tabling events. Just anecdotally, I have been at the Monster Mash and the what was the other one we were at?
Art
Well,
Beach?
recently.
Oh, really?
Not
Oh, yeah,
something
not
where
this
we
year.
distributed flyers, just I'm saying places where I've attended.
Oh.
Both in Union
Fluff,
Square.
maybe?
Oh, Fluff, right.
Fluff. Oh.
And on the one hand, I saw groups like CAS or maybe OHS, tabling at these events. And on the other hand, the events have gotten so big and so noisy, and
Yes.
that I'm not sure how big the return on investment is for tabling at those. So I just wanted to throw that thought in and see what other thoughts people had about tabling events.
I feel like the city, what was it called? The city, I forgot what
Oh,
the name.
the Civic Day.
Civic Day.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
I thought that went really well because that was all service organizations.
Mhm.
And we got a decent number of people at the table. And it also gave me a chance to bop around and find other organizations that should know about us and nudge them to come visit.
And
So I would
Carnival,
say do
it
Civic
was a
Day
big
again.
day, but I think that was fairly successful as well. I think that even though it's a big event, it's spread out over all of Broadway, and so and I didn't feel like it was super crowded, so I thought that was actually kind of fun to do. And
I missed
yeah,
which
Carnival.
event you want to say again?
Carnival.
Oh, Carnival. Okay.
But I agree, Fluff is just so big now, and some of the others are so big. But.
So things to keep in mind. I mean, we're sort of passing out of prime outdoor tabling season. And nobody's, I think, mentioned like say the Winter Farmers Market, which is an indoor kind of thing. So these are things we could consider. But any other thoughts about tabling?
No.
Do you happen to know for the winter farmers market if it's something we need to pay to table at? I do think that could be good to reach both tenants and landlords.
It's I know they charge for the tables, but I don't know if we could if there's a free option.
I can look into that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be worthwhile. Thank you.
So, online education and outreach, has everybody sent their bio and photo to
Yep.
Commissioner A? I want to say photo, not video, because I know some people have produced videos previously. Patrice, you look like that's on your to-do list.
It is on my to-do list
Okay.
to send in a headshot, which feels like it's harder than what it really is. And I will send that in so Kay can do her part So I apologize for holding us up.
Everybody does what they can as often as they can, and we appreciate it. All right, we added this other item to the list last time, which was capacity building for future commission members. And the background on that is that some of us have been on the commission for a long time, and will not be here forever, and yet there are important kind of institutional memories, and there are particular skills, like I would love to share with somebody how I do the Facebook posting, because God forbid I get sick and can't do it for a while. So those are examples. So let me just throw that subject out there about capacity building for future commission members. What are people's thoughts?
My thought is, do we have a list of all the components of the things that we need to be able to like have a meeting and all the things that we do? Do we have a list, Shannon, of not just the Facebook page, but like we need to have someone who is chair. We need to have just a list of all the things we need to have.
Yeah, we have like the basics, so that we need a chair, that we need, 3 to make quorum. In terms of like things that are a bit more in detail, I think that that's what Gloria's sort of helping us work on, and what would probably be good to collaborate more with her on, like what you guys do individually, because I know like on a basic level what you do, but in terms of say like the candidate questionnaire, like I don't know all the mechanics behind that. So maybe that is something that with those sorts of things we do want to start working with Gloria to like build on the resource that we have, so that people can look back and see like, okay, this is how I get started.
Possibly a list of the activities we do annually, or as well as the ongoings, just so that we can have people be able to talk about, where would you plug in? But I do want to go on record that we should have more bilingual people on this commission, because I think that that's a real ding on our capacity.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
we have to,
as Commissioner Rona knows, in the past we have had, and it's just been a matter of who was available to serve when. That at the moment we're a little lacking in that department.
I'm wondering if there's a way to dovetail this issue with some of the outreach that we're going to do when we do those education events, like with the social workers and the council on aging, and certainly the movement meetings. I mean, there may be some overlap there about. I think the movement meetings are mostly tenants, and they may be quite interested in actually, joining the commission. I don't know. It seems like there might be some overlap there. So
That was suggested actually as another reason to do it, to like advertise the commission itself and being a member, because there are already people who are pretty active in the community.
Shannon, quick couple thoughts. One is, we probably need to have the process for getting people approved to the commission written down, so that people don't have to like figure that out all over again in the future. And the other question that I have, which is directly for you, Shannon, when you came on, I think you had some mentorship from the person who is now your supervisor, but when you came on, what were some of the things that, as our staff person, that you had to like learn or figure out that weren't like common knowledge or self-evident? And I'm not putting you on the spot. You can definitely think on that, but if anything jumps to mind right now, please share it with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the basic things, like first how to write minutes, was something that was new to me. And probably we could do with a resource, like a brief resource on how to do that. Um, Another thing, this wasn't right when I started, but in terms of like planning the Fair Housing Month events, that was a big lift and had a lot of like little detailed things, that I tried to get a lot of those details written down, for even for myself this upcoming year, but would be good to maybe organize, for future years. And then, um, like just taking calls,
Mm.
and determining what is a fair housing complaint and what to bring to the commission versus, what would just go straight to inspectional services or straight to, like another resource that's not exactly fair housing. That's another thing that, I mean, anyone new on the job would need to learn, but it stands out to me as like, those are the top three things.
Okay, so please make sure that, that gets on a list for, it sounds like we're sort of doing a table of contents of a manual for new commissioners and new
Mhm.
staff. And Shannon, I think I can speak for everybody saying we hope that you hold this position for a nice long time, but we
Mm-hmm.
also know that
Yes.
in the past, at least since the position that you hold was expanded and given more responsibility, which was a huge capacity building uh, advantage for the commission. Since that's happened, I think the longest anybody has held that position is 3 years. And in some cases, it's been less than 1 year. And, so again, hoping that you can do this as long as possible, but, based on past history, we want to make sure that the next time that there's a turnover, that it's easier for that person than, let's say, it was for you.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I completely understand that. Also not planning on leaving anytime soon, but,
Good.
at some point, we will need to have these materials ready. And even for me, it's helpful to look back on, if it's something I don't do often, be able to look back on that and figure out how I did it the first time, so.
Yeah, things that you do every 6 months or a year, I find are really hard to remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other thoughts from other commissioners on capacity building? I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but anything top of your mind today?
Mhm.
No, I'm good. But it does remind me that for the November meeting, there's an agenda item of picking the dates for the fair, picking the dates and the titles for the fair housing meetings. Because if we use the library, we have to get to them right after the turn of the year in order to book a room, in order to get the average. So the timeline has to start like January 3rd. And
Awesome.
we have to be
Sense.
ready for getting venue and title out into the world, which means we have to figure it out in November and December.
So
And
Commissioner Rona, you said fair housing and that was short for April is Fair
It's
Housing
Fair
Month.
Housing Month, right?
Mhm.
So we'll do several events in April, but we have to get them on the calendar right after the new year in order to get them pulled off for April.
I apologize, but I do have a client that's coming in at
Okay,
4. So I usually can
Okay.
stay much longer, but today I cannot. But so I'll have to excuse myself, but I know the minutes will be very thorough. And if you need me for anything in between now and the
Okay.
next meeting, I will be here.
Okay.
Apologies.
Yep.
Apologies. Thanks,
That's okay.
guys. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Patrice,
Okay.
do you have another 5 minutes that you can stay?
I
You
do.
have the right to say no if
Okay.
that's what you need to say.
Oh, no, no one is looking for me at this moment, and I'm looking right now. And so I'm still on my break. I'm still using my discretionary time.
Okay, so Shannon, I'm going to ask you, these are the last few items are really all reports from you. I'm going to ask you to do them succinctly. Adding protected classes to the Fair Housing Ordinance, what should we know about that?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to update for this time is I did meet with Boston, with their fair housing specialist. I forget what exactly her job title is. But she explained a little bit more about what they're doing. I know we were talking about like possibly adding something along the lines of like protecting criminal background. And the language that she said they use is returning citizens, which I really like. And which I think will probably go over better than other language. So that was helpful. She also said that they're in the very early stages too of working on this, and like adding it to the ordinance. But I think like just in general, it's been good to have a connection with Boston's fair housing. And then we can collaborate, and if there's any research done by them, or if we happen to get research funded, then we can share it. So that's what I had there. No like major updates. And I still think probably more research needs to go into this before we can, start to formulate how we want to see it added to the ordinance. So I might take this off the agenda for the next few months and then bring it back later. When there's more time and capacity to like really work on it. And then if anyone has any questions, you can ask now, otherwise I'll move on. Okay,
Keep going.
And
the
it
annual
looks like
report,
people are okay with your suggestion to
Mhm.
postpone it to a future agenda. So we'll
Right.
take that as approved.
the annual report, so for fiscal year 24, did anyone have the chance to review it? If not, it's okay. I think the goal is gonna be to send it to city council by January. There is a reason why, but I'm forgetting the reason why it would be January and not now. But yeah, does anyone have any edits they want me to make to the annual report? There is one edit I need to make. The extension is incorrect. The phone extension to reach me is incorrect, but other than that,
I'll have to check. I'm pretty sure I read it over, and I know there wasn't anything major or substantive, but I'll check and see if there's any edits to send along.
I didn't notice
even
any
if there are copy edits, please send those my way too.
Let's hear
The
it
long
from
Patrice would
report.
be great at that.
right?
Right? Like I'll take a look at it. I did a scan, but I'll do like a deeper dive.
No, you don't need
and,
to. You don't.
like-
I don't want to take advantage of it.
Okay. Yeah, and I had a question
Um,
of when the next meeting is
Well, hold on one second.
before we're done.
FY25 annual report, anything on that, Shannon?
I don't have that ready for you yet. I would say that I have the meat done, but not the potatoes. So I have like the most of the data done and like the events that we went to, everything ready, but it's not written up well yet. So that's where I'm
Okay.
at on that.
So, Rona, your question was actually the next item on the
Oh, good.
agenda. As I'll just say for the public, the commission generally meets on it's the fourth Thursday of the month, if I remember correctly. But in November and December, often that's different because of Thanksgiving and Christmas / when school break and so forth. And so we previously determined that our next meeting would be November the 20th at 3 p.m. Still on Zoom as usual. And I hope that the other commissioners are still okay with being there then.
That still works for me.
Okay. Any other announcements or, important last minute kind of stuff? Well, then I want to thank everybody, especially Shannon, and see if we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second. I just
I
changed the
make it-
calendar, so I'm good.
I make it unanimous. So commission is adjourned at 4:05 p.m. Thanks again, everybody.
Bye-bye.